check out this shirt that my dad got me for Christmas. You probably know I have a thing for t-shirts. This might be my favorite one I've ever had. It says unpaid movie critic. I mean, that's perfect. Thanks, Dad. So, alright, the time has come. 2021 is coming to a close, so it is time for me to list my top 10 favorite movies of this year. As always, a couple of disclaimers first. This list is going to be my complete biased subjective opinion, so if you don't agree with the order, that's totally fine. Just remember that everyone is entitled to their own opinions. I mean, I wouldn't argue with your opinions. And also, like every year, there are movies that came out this year that I haven't seen. Like, no, I have not watched King Richard. I just didn't really care to watch it. The trailers didn't grab my attention. I'm glad those who did watch it enjoyed it though. But of the 35 movies I saw that came out this year that I reviewed, these are my top 10 favorites. So alright, disclaimers are done. Let's get started. This is fun. I'm getting excited now. I always love making these videos. Starting the list at number 10, we have Respect. Yeah, the biopic about Aretha Franklin. I'm a musician, so when a movie revolves around music in any way, shape, or form, that's usually a pretty good indicator that I'm gonna like it. And yeah, I will say there are quite a few movies on this list that fall into that category. But Respect was great. I love Jennifer Hudson. She has an amazing voice. One of the two best of this generation, if you ask me. I love seeing her as Aretha Franklin overcoming all the obstacles that were in her way. Forrest Whitaker did a great job as her father. Marlon Wayans was also great. Just these biopics about singers from the 60s, 70s, 80s that we've been getting, they're on a streak. Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, now Respect, and I'm still waiting on David Bowie. Alright, number 9, this is the one I feel like I have to defend sometimes, that is Dear Evan Hansen. But it's weird though, everyone I've talked to about this movie who has seen it, they also liked it. Although this movie did get mixed, if not negative reviews from professional critics. I don't know, maybe I saw something they didn't. Maybe that's why I'm unpaid. But for my money, this movie hit all the right notes with me. I love a good musical. I love a good musical with a heavy message. The music in Dear Evan Hansen is pretty darn good. The acting all around was great. Just, I don't know. All the emotional moments in this movie really landed with me. Sure, the actors do look older than high schoolers, but what can I say? I fell into it. It didn't bother me as much as I thought it would initially. So it makes my list at number 9. At number 8, we have Free Guy. Free Guy surprised me. Easily the best Ryan Reynolds movie I've seen in a long time. And I'm not saying that as a bias because, yeah, the guy did do me a solid this year. But this movie itself had a great concept that it managed to not fuck up, which is really appreciated because, yeah, after we saw the trailers, we were like, that could go either way. It could be good or bad. Thankfully, this movie pulled it off on the side of good. The chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Jodie Comer was great. Jodie Comer and Joe Keery, they also had really good chemistry. Taika Waititi crushed it as the villain. I'm totally looking forward to watching this movie again when it comes onto Disney Plus in February. Cause this is easily the best original movie I've seen in quite some time. Alright, number 7. I'm gonna set this one up a little bit cause we had quite a few superhero movies this year. Some were good, some were better than others, but Zack Snyder's Justice League was one of the most unique superhero movies I have ever seen in my life, period. This to me was redemption for the DC Extended Universe cinematically speaking, because some people were like, oh, I'm done with them because the DC movies suck compared to Marvel. Zack Snyder's Justice League showed everyone that there is still a beating heart inside of the DCEU. This movie told a thorough story with each of the members of the Justice League getting completely fleshed out. Just this is the Justice League movie that we deserved from the beginning. I am so glad that the fans pushed hard enough to get this made. It was a phenomenon unlike anything I'd ever seen in the cinematic world. And for me anyway, it fucking pulled through. Of course, I would love to see the Snyderverse go on. I don't know if it ever will, but I always have my fingers crossed, cause this movie is awesome. Coming in at number 6 is In the Heights, which honestly I did expect to be higher up on this list, but there were a lot of great movies that came out this year, and some I like better than this one. Doesn't take the shine away from In the Heights though. This is one of the movies, there's always a movie like this every year where when it comes out digitally, I watch it over and over and over again for the next couple weeks at least. In the Heights came out in theaters and on HBO Max the same day. I saw it in theaters first, and then I think for the next month or so, I watched it on HBO Max at least once a day or something. I was just watching it all the time because it was just so addicting. The music is awesome. Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius when it comes to this kind of stuff. I love the story. I actually have heard some purist fans of the show don't like this movie because it differs from the original show in a couple of ways. But coming from someone who does not know a lot about the original show, I thought the movie was fantastic. Anthony Ramos crushed it, Olga Meredith, Leslie Grace, the whole cast, they just did an awesome job. It's a bummer this movie didn't do too well in the box office, but I'm gonna keep watching it for the rest of my life. So that ain't nothing. Alright, crossing over to the second half of the list, coming in at number 5, we have A Quiet Place Part 2. This movie is the one that blew my mind this year. Cause sure, I was expecting to enjoy it, but I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. Millicent Simmons was the standout of this movie, don't let anyone tell you different. Cillian Murphy did a great job. The tension that we all remember from the first movie is still intact in this one. It added new elements to the story without messing it up, which is a really tricky thing to pull off. And like I promised, so far I have not watched the movie for a second time after seeing it for the first time in theaters. Cause when part 3 inevitably comes out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna watch the whole trilogy back to back, and it's gonna feel fresh and new, and I just cannot wait for that day. It's gonna be sweet. Alright, number 4, we're getting to the heavy hitters now. Number 4 is Last Night in Soho. I love Edgar Wright, I'm a huge fan of his. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and of course it pulled through for me. The premise was so unique. A girl who has to solve a mystery involving time travel in a thriller-ish adventure that could only come from the mind of someone as creative as Edgar Wright. Thomas and Mackenzie did an awesome job. Anya Taylor-Joy. Matt Smith was great. Just the whole mystery element of this movie made for one of the most intriguing and engrossing movie experiences I've had in a long time. And that is why Last Night in Soho is so high on my top 10 list. Okay, folks, now we are at my top 3. And honestly, these 3 movies could probably tie for number 1 because I just love these movies to death. I've already rewatched them quite a few times. If I really could, I would put all 3 of these movies at number 1, but I just can't. It's a top 10 list, so it has to be in some order. And so here we go. Coming in at number 3 is Encanto. Yeah, whenever Walt Disney Animation Studios makes a musical these days, odds are I'm gonna love it. And I've been watching this one on Disney Plus non-stop ever since it dropped on Christmas Eve. I love the music, I love the characters, Mirabel is so relatable. The story is really intriguing, it grabbed me anyway. And the world, the humor. It didn't try too hard to be funny like I felt Raya and the Last Dragon did. It just told a really good story about family with a lot of heart. Just everything in this movie worked for me, and I love it for that. Alright, number 2 and number 1 I flip-flopped in my head for some time. I mean, like I said, my top 3 all deserve to be number 1, but they just have to be in order, so number 2, we got West Side Story. Yep, totally biased here because I've been a huge West Side Story fan since high school. I love the story of Tony and Maria and Bernardo and Riff and the Jets and the Sharks and Chino! And Steven Spielberg just did a fantastic job at reinvigorating this story for this generation. The brutal realism that replaced the campiness of the 1961 film, it made this decades-old story feel new in the most refreshing and positive way. You gotta love something like that. Ansel Elgort did a great job as Tony. Rachel Zegler, again, America's new sweetheart. She plays an amazing Maria. David Alvarez, Mike Feist, Rita Moreno. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Oscars this movie brings home. Knock on wood. I can't wait to buy this movie on Blu-ray, and I'm happy with it being number 2 on my favorite movies of the year. Which means number 1, you already know what it is. And it's no surprise to anybody. I'm sure a couple of you watching this are rolling your eyes going, yeah, what else is new? So predictable, Andy. God. Yeah, well, screw you. And besides, tell me this movie does not deserve to be number 1 on this list. And of course, it's Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm pretty sure this is quite a few people's number 1 favorite movie of the year. Again, I might be biased. I am a lifelong, huge Spider-Man fan, and this movie was a celebration of the cinematic history of the webhead. Not just with all the fan service, which was also great because it had a point to it, but just the premise, the story that our Peter Parker goes through. It's one of the most unique premises we've had in a Spider-Man movie in general. This movie was a Spider-Man movie made for Spider-Man fans. And I just happened to fall into that category. This is a love letter to Spidey in every sense of the word. It reminded me why I love Spider-Man, what makes him worth loving. The action was awesome. Seeing all these characters from other franchises back, Dr. Octopus played by Alfred Molina, Green Goblin played by Willem Dafoe. Everyone in this movie gave it their all, and for my money, it was the best experience I had watching a new movie in 2021. And that is why this movie is number 1 on my list. And so, alright folks, there you have it. We are done. And if you ask me, 2021 was a pretty good year for movies, all things considered. I mean, granted, half the movies that came out this year were supposed to come out last year, and so yeah, that's why. That's also the reason that every movie on this list has my best rating. But that's just how it worked out. And of course, I'm looking forward to next year. We got some good stuff coming up. Multiverse of Madness, Black Adam, The Flash, Avatar 2, finally, knock on wood. Even Sonic 2. I like that trailer. So yeah, next year should be a blast. So what are your favorite movies of 2021? I'm not gonna ask you to give like a number or a list. Just whatever movies you liked, name them. So whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now if you'll excuse me, It's New Year's Eve. Time to celebrate and ring in the new year, 2022. Peace!